think it's recording. I think
Okay,
it's recording.
You can talk to us, you don't have to talk
my
to us.
name is Mark Chiba. I'm doing this recording because my good friend Marissa Males has decided that she wants to record this for posterity. You laugh, but I'm sitting here in front of a camera. You try it sometime. I'm going to talk to you about my experience with the earthquake that happened last week, 2011, March 15th, was it?
No.
No?
It was
9th?
11.
The last couple of days have been kind of a blur for me.
I think it was the
It's been kind
11.
of fun. 11. Right. I was in Ichinoseki, Japan at the time. I had gone to Japan as part of a lifelong goal to see the place that I was born, to meet my family that I've not ever met or hadn't ever met prior to that point, and just to experience it. I was visiting my uncle, Shinobu, in Ichinoseki, Japan. Ichinoseki is a small town in northern Japan in the prefecture of Iwate. Iwate was one of the closest prefectures to the epicenter of the 9-point earthquake that happened offshore. I was far enough inland that I was able to avoid the tsunami, but I got a nice, good and long shake from the earthquake itself, as well as all of the subsequent aftershocks, which genuinely, the aftershocks at the time were the most surprising thing to me, because, well, it just never stopped. Every half hour, 2 hours, whenever, randomly, there would be another aftershock. And dishes would rattle, water would splash, we'd, race to prop up a candle, or a fish tank, or a china cabinet or something. But overall, it was strangely a quiet experience in between everything. I don't speak much Japanese. I took a couple courses, but I was able to communicate fairly well with my relatives. Power was out, but we still had running water, thankfully. And because they live in some very cold country of Japan, they had a portable heater in case things got bad. So we had a single oil-powered heater, which was kind of fun. There were 5 of us in the house at the time. My uncle Shinobu, my aunt Akemi, my cousins Yoki and Konomi. Food was pretty simple. Rice was easy to prepare. Curry.
Did you guys
Some
have
leftover foods.
a heating thing for rice?
Hmm?
Did you guys have a heating thing to make rice, or?
Made it in a pot.
By fire?
Well, the heating, the heater, and
Oh, really? The heater?
the heater was a very good design.
Oh.
It had a top range, but then a side grill. Well, not grill for like grilling food, but grill for like radiating heat outward.
Yeah, okay.
So that you could stick something immediately on top and it would boil water. And perpetually there was a kettle boiling.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, the water was working, so plumbing wasn't an issue, though it was very, very tricky to do anything at night. We used candles and the occasional flashlight. Bedding wasn't an issue because, again, this is cold country, so my bed already had like 8 layers of blankets on it.
Good.
So as long as I stayed in and wore a hat, by the way, thank you, Marisa, for lending me that ski cap. I was wearing like 2 layers of caps, generally. And thank you, Camille, for the winter vest. That also was worn a lot. Don't worry, I've washed it both before I returned them.
What about like,
Mhm.
you talked about the aftershocks, but you didn't actually tell us what the original.
The original earthquake, we were going to go visit an aunt of mine who's best remembered to me by the Kamangi apple orchard where my dad spent many years as a child. She has a farmhouse that's very well kept and looks relatively new up in the mountains. And as we were driving, my uncle Shinobu started jerking the car back and forth a little bit, and I was a little confused as to what was going on, but didn't really think much of it. It was a gravel road, you know, it happens. Then he pulls over and the swerving continues. It wasn't terrible like
Yeah.
that, but they were sitting in the car, and the word Jishan kept coming up, and I thought this means earthquake. Which, yeah, there you go, live and learn, right? Anyway, there's a few minutes of the earthquake, which is kind of interesting because you know your brain flashes through lots of different thoughts when something goes on long. Just you know what's going on? Why is this so long? Going on so long? And I remember looking out and seeing a tree just shaking, and that was kind of cool. Sorry, I should probably be a little more sober about that, but it was interesting. And you know, right about the times that you start worrying about, oh, this could be really bad, I saw the farm dog pressed up against the wall, sitting perfect posture, staring straight ahead and shaking out of sheer terror. Which, as sad as that is, it was actually really humorous to watch. Anyway, when the quake ended, we got out. The aunt that we'd gone to visit rushed out to meet us. Oh, and it got cold around that time. Which I'm sure wasn't helped by the lack of heat. But yeah, she rushed out to meet us, and we went inside, and the first couple aftershocks hit us, and Japanese architecture is designed to last through earthquakes. Tokyo is built on a fault line. They know it. They deal with it. It's just what they do. So really there was no structural damage. Nothing major anyway. When we got back to the house, Shinobu's house, there were some cracks in the walls. Some water from the fish tank had splashed out, and the kitchen and dining area looked like a bit like Crystal Nut, really. Glass broken everywhere. Basically anything that was on a shelf tipped over or spilled onto the ground. Thankfully there wasn't too much that was horrifically breakable aside from the china cabinet, which I had a wonderful opportunity to sweep up. And not everything was broken, just the stuff that managed to rattle its way out of the cabinet. Food preservation wasn't a problem because the weather was cold enough.
That's good.
Which, yeah, it's really good.
Did you guys put things outside or still keep them?
No, most of it was just kept inside.
It was cold enough inside the house.
Yeah, it was cold enough inside the house. Generally, I would wear several layers of clothing wandering around. We didn't find out about the tsunami until a little bit later. I mean, theoretically, I knew it was, plausible, even likely. But
did your family try to tell you anything, or?
oh yeah. And through several dictionary references and
Tsunami
some
itself is
pointing.
Japanese, right?
Tsunami itself is Japanese, which is
As long as I mention it, you should have.
right.
Yeah.
In the interest of the historical record, the word tsunami is a Japanese word that means harbor wave. Some fishermen many years ago were out fishing, and a huge wave picked them up and set them down. And when they went back in, the harbor was completely destroyed. Such was the case with most of the cities along the coast of northern Japan. I don't know if the people watching this will have seen any of the news footage, but there are pictures of waves powerful enough to take 2- and 3-story buildings off of their foundations and carry them down the street the way you would see a paper boat. There are pictures of a ferry ship that was actually lifted out of the water and set down on a rooftop by the force of this wave. The death toll numbers, from what I've been told, in the area of 10,000 people currently. The initial earthquake didn't do the damage, the tsunami did. The tsunami was also the issue with the nuclear reactors. The earthquake caused some damage, but the backup systems would have kicked on had it not been for the tsunami, which took out the pumps. At this time, there are 4 reactors, I believe in Fukushima, that are all in some set of danger. There are other reactors that have shown signs of threat, but there are 4 that are specifically issues. 3 of the 4 have already had minor explosions. I say minor because they've only blown the roof off the building and not actually destroyed the building, exposing the reactor itself.
Did you watch any? Because you couldn't watch any TV. Could you while you were in your house?
No TV, no news, no internet, no phone.
So when did you see any footage?
I only saw footage after I left my my aunt and uncle's house